Welcome to the 0K Economy Commands tutorial. Here I will cover the commands that constructors use and factories and general economy management. First of all, how would you build a structure? The first and most important task of your constructors. To do this, you would use this command panel, select a structure like a solar collector, and place it on the map and build it. There are hotkeys, ZX, CV, and then this is a grid panel type layout. So if I wanted to build a lotus, I would do C, W, and I get a lotus. So these commands can be queued, as you just saw. You can shift queue, hold down shift, and you will queue a command. If you hold down space, so get a different structure, a stardust. If you hold down space, the command will be appended to the start of the queue. I now stopped building that, and I'm building this. If you hold down shift and space, the command will be inserted into the queue in a reasonably sparse location. So if I hold shift and space, I could insert this Faraday between these two turrets, or I could insert a Faraday there. You get the idea. If you have this also works with move command, by the way, or many commands. See, I want to move over there, but on the way I'll now build a solar collector. Or if I want to build something right away, I just hold space and it gets inserted right away. So that's the basic way of giving commands. This, by the way, works for all commands, this shift and space, but it's mostly useful in the economy, so I could shift space and attack ground on the way. So that is how you can manage the order queue of your economy. But how would you make lots of buildings at once? In 0K, you've got to have lots of buildings because otherwise you won't have enough economy. So say I get a solar collector. This is the economy tab, XA. I might want to make a bunch of solar collectors, but this would take a while to click like this. So what you do is you XA, hold shift, then click and drag. And it makes you a line of buildings. See, he's building away. Now, there's a problem with solar collectors, that if one of them explodes, as it deals a bit of damage nearby. It's got an explosion radius. And actually, all units and structures have a bit of an explosion radius. Wind generators are pretty weak, so they get hurt a lot by it. So what if I want to space them out? Well, to do that, you hold shift and press Z to make the spacing larger and X to make the spacing smaller. And then you can place. Additionally, this is only really relevant for factories. You may want to rotate your building. You can do this by pressing left bracket and right bracket, like so. And that will just rotate on the 4 cardinal directions. You can also make blocks of structures, although this is far less useful. Shift is by far the most used way of constructing buildings. If you hold shift and alt at the same time, you get a box. And you can change the spacing with X and Z. If you hold alt, shift and control, you get a nice empty box. If you hold control plus shift, you get a line along the cardinal directions. And if you hold alt, shift and control, or mousing over a structure or unit, you will surround it in that building, which can be quite useful if you want to, say, surround this turret with solar collectors, because they are quite tanky and will protect the turret somewhat. So that is the way you would build most structures. An exception is metal extractors. You can shift queue them, but you can only build metal extractors on these points, except if you're playing a metal map. You can do this, which sort of works, but it's a lot of modifiers. Metal extractors are in fact quite important in 0K because that's where your metal comes from. And you need metal to win. Resources to make armies to kill your opponent. So there is a command called area mechs, which makes metal extractors in an area. This is an area command. You press W to activate it. You drag an area, and then it queues you a bunch of metal extractors. So if you say, oh, I've taken this side of the map, I want to go get there, and you can get that side of the map just by dragging an area, and you can drag again to cancel. This is where command insert comes into play. Say I want to defend this, I'll say, okay, after building that metal extractor, put a lotus there, and put a lotus here before you build that metal extractor, and maybe I'll queue some solars, space to insert, spaceship to insert. And if I suddenly want a fusion reactor, I can go, oh, I need a fusion reactor right now, and use space. So that's really how all the economy commands work together in regards to construction. So constructors have other jobs apart from building your economy, building your structures. The main other jobs will be to reclaim wreckages, to heal damaged units, and to assist in unit production. The first one, I will say, is unit production. Factories have a fairly decent build rate. See, this can build glaze fairly quickly. But if I wanted to build a sniper, the ETA on this sniper is going to be about a minute. I can add constructors to the factory. They will drain resources and use them to construct this sniper. So now it's going to be done in a mere 19 seconds. This is the most efficient way of causing your unit production to increase. This factory costs 600 metal and only has the build power of 2 constructors, which cost in total 280 metal. So if you want to build faster, build constructors. If you really want to build faster a lot, build caretakers, which are static constructors with a bit better build power for their cost than mobile constructors. They also have a larger build range, so they can help out elsewhere in your base. They will also repair nearby units automatically because they have a patrol order. This brings me, just to stop that guy, to the other uses of constructors. Constructors have a fight and patrol command even though they don't actually have any weapons. So you might be a bit confused by this, but what it does is, so I give the fight command, it makes them automatically do their jobs along this path. Fight command's a bit limited though. Patrol does the same thing, of course, but this is a bit limited because I might not want them to repair these units. I might have actually wanted them to reclaim this metal. See, if I give fight command, they'll go, oh, these guys are damaged, I better go repair them. That's not good. I could give a manual reclaim command like this, but that would be a lot of clicks. So what you do is to do area reclaim, which is to click on a wreckage, right click, and drag, and the command now will reclaim all the wrecks in this area. You can do the same thing by selecting the reclaim hotkey E and dragging an area. Generally, if you've got a battle or any kind of reclaim field, it's a very good idea to build a few constructors, give them just a big area reclaim command, and they'll get all of the metal. Also, the metal and energy that you're going to get from reclaim is on the tooltip, so you can use this just to say, oh, I wonder how much that battle's worth. Oh, that's going to be 188 metal if I reclaim it, so I'll go get that. It allows you to judge the importance of areas. The repair command is similar. You can right click on units, you can right click and drag, or you can just do this and make an area. This also works for constructions. So this repair command is repairing these structures, and a nifty trick with repair and reclaim is to give a line move and then queue a repair order or a reclaim order to spread your constructors out and reduce walking time. So see, they're doing the line move and then they are going to repair the structures, which will make all the structures complete earlier. There's also another way of giving these commands, which is to hold Alt This makes a permanent command. They are going to just sit there forever until you change their orders and repair any units which enter the area. This can be quite useful for making repair zones. The same goes for a reclaim command. I can hold Alt and they'll reclaim everything in the area. If any new wreckage is placed in the area, they'll then go to reclaim it. And there you go. There's a tricky command you may like to use with construction as well, which I forgot to mention, which is to hold Shift and Q and drag, and this causes your constructor to just place the nano frames. These won't decay, but they also don't block shots, so they're only really useful if you want to later then use a caretaker to build the units, because caretakers do not actually have a build. They don't have any build options, they can only assist. So this brings me to the factory. Factories have a few ways of building as well. Firstly, there's the repeat command, the repeat state, which I really have got to mention here, even though there will be a later video for it, which causes your queue to repeat. So if I set this caretaker to patrol, it will assist nearby things. So I repeat building a Rocco and a glaive. I can add units to this queue, I can take them away by right clicking here or right clicking here. I can add them even by doing this. I can add 5 at once by holding Shift. I can add 20 at once by holding Control. I can add 100 by holding Control and Shift. And I can remove them with just as much by right clicking on the unit icon. Remove 20, remove 100. So that was Control and Shift, which are quite useful. The really useful one though is Alt, which allows you to insert a command. So I'm building a scythe, but what if I really at this moment wanted 5 glaives? Then 5 glaives with Alt and Shift, actually no, just with Alt. Oh no, with Alt and Shift will be added onto the end of the queue. I'm running out of metal here, so I can actually reclaim my units as well. This doesn't work with area reclaim because you wouldn't want to accidentally target your own units. But back to this factory. I altered to build these glaives. I'll show you again. Say I want to build a warrior suddenly. This gets inserted at the start of the queue. But the really great thing about this is that the warrior will not re-enter my queue. It will be pushed out. It was a one-off. This can be great if I'm just spamming out raiders, which you might do at the start of the game, and I suddenly say, oh, I want a constructor and a warrior. You can just press Alt and do the commands, and you'll get 1 constructor and 1 warrior. Then your factory will go back to spamming out glaives. So this is really quite useful. I really recommend using this. If you use Alt Wall not on repeat build, it cancels your current construction. So say I'm currently building a Rocco. Oh no, I'll build a gremlin, but I really want a warrior now. This actually cancels the gremlin and puts a warrior in the queue. The gremlin has been pushed back. So that's if you really want something, you disable repeat and use Alt. So that concludes the economy tutorial. You know how to build structures with shift queuing, to change the space with Z and X, to make area Mechs commands, and then to insert some structures along the way, or indeed to insert anything you want, even reclaim. You know how to reclaim in an area, to repair in an area, to reclaim your own units, which you can then later repair, and how to use the factory queue. I hope this has been useful, and thanks for listening.